Good day, everyone. This is Tokyo Yo Talk. My name is T, and I'm very, very, very excited to be joined by today's guest, Dr. B, or Jonathan Best, of One Drop. How's it going today?
Hey, it's going great. How are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Um, I have to just begin here very quickly by saying you are definitely my favorite player.
Oh, cool. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, I was very,
That's awesome.
no, yeah, I was very excited that you agreed to come on here. I will get into a little bit more of why later, but just to let you know, I'm very, very excited that you were able to do this. So thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. It's my total pleasure.
Before we get into the questions and the talk, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? If someone, for shame, doesn't know who you are, can you tell them?
Yeah. So, I currently live in Denver, Colorado, and I have been pretty active in the yo-yo scene since I started when I was about 10 years old. I'm 34 now. Started competing in like tiny little state contests, like back before it was a real thing. Um, like years and years ago, and I saw the rebirth of the national contest and freestyling and bearing yo-yos and all this other like cool stuff, and it's been really cool to kind of see how modern yo-yoing has come about since I was kind of there when like one of my first yo-yos was a 3-in-1 no jive,
Mm.
and yeah. So anyway, so I hang out in Denver. I am an educator, and I teach yo-yoing as well, which is a lot of fun. But other than that, I don't know. I love to read. I love to write. I love to play PC games, things like that.
Cool, very nice. So you're an educator. I know that's one of the things a lot of people think that's super awesome about you. Having that as it's a pretty respectable job, right?
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, I this year I'm actually out of the classroom. I'm doing some like curriculum development and consulting work. But it's really good to just be around, to be around kids and to teach people things and learn things from people and grow because you get to be around so many neat people every day.
Hmm. Do you prefer the kind of businessy side, like the taking care of the curriculum, or do you like being in the classroom more?
That I don't know. I mean, I think that's kind of it's a little it's a little difficult to answer. Like in the sense that I love being in front of kids and I love or even teaching adults. Like I like the actual act of teaching, but like the science of teaching, I think is really cool. And I think there's an awful lot that can be done in terms of letting people think before they educate. And that's kind of like what I'm working on now. We have all these great teachers in the world, but it's just we gotta find out ways to teach and learn better. I even do some yo-yo tutoring and things like that, and I approach even those sorts of scenarios in the same way. One of my students right now is a grown adult who just picked up yo-yoing, and it's fun even to approach learning from an adult standpoint too.
Hmm.
Uh, I think that's one of the cool things about yo-yoing is that it's a constant exchange of information and knowledge.
Yeah, I'm teacher over here in Japan, and I talked to Nate from G Squared recently. He's also in teaching. It
Yeah.
seems like a lot of people in yo-yo. Maybe I don't know if it's just
Yeah.
the generation or.
Well, I mean, Ed Haponic is a teacher as
Mm.
well. Yeah, there's a lot of people who teach in yo-yoing. Like my mentor, John Gates. Big shout out to like OG innovator.
Mm.
Um, if you play off string yo-yo, you're welcome from him.
Mm.
But he currently is a technology educator as well, and teaches people how to be really cool and creative with their computers. I think it's a common trait in yo-yoing because the real like currency of all these relationships that we develop with people around the world is all information based. Like when you do a yo-yo trick for someone, you're really just showing them a sequence of movements, and there's literally nothing stopping them from repeating that movement.
Mm.
And the whole reason you show that is to spread that. It's information. It's mimetic.
'Cause you awesomely answered like three questions I had there all in one very, very naturally. So smooth
Great.
as butter. So you're working with One Drop now, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I've been sponsored by One Drop for like what, like a little over 4 years, maybe 5.
Hmm.
Jesus, I don't know. I think 4. It's actually, so this is one of my favorite stories. Um, I super enjoy this because, so a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I had a thought that how cool would it be to one day work for a yo-yo company. And when I was a young, like, enterprising teenager, I would do these demos for like local toy stores and like kite stores and things like that. And I thought that that was kind of what being a professional yo-yoer was, because that's kind of like the model. It's kind of like the old school like Duncan professional model, like travel around, do a cool thing, sell some stuff. As like competition became a legitimate thing and sort of like global branding and identity became a real thing, sponsored players started popping up, and I remember like being in high school and watching all these yo-yoers kind of make the transition from being like just kids on a Sector Y video to working for Super Yo or Duncan. And I just always thought it was like the neatest thing, but I always kind of figured that that wouldn't really happen to me.
Mm.
Because like I love to yo-yo and I think I do some cool tricks, but I'm sure as hell not winning anything.
Mm.
Like that's not really what I do.
Mm.
Um, so I focus instead on making cool videos. So I like would travel around to different places, usually wherever my family would go on vacation or whatever, and film videos. And then I started filming videos in other places, and I remember this one time, like way, way, way back in the day, when I bought the Project One. I still have it. It's a Agent Orange edition,
Mm.
one of the yellow to red fades.
Mm.
Super hot. Anyway, so I hit up Shana David via email years ago, like I was still in college years ago, and was like, hey, I'm going to be filming this video in the Caribbean, and I'm going to use your project for it. So, do you have a T-shirt or something I can buy? And they sent me a T-shirt, and I thought it was really cool because I was like, holy crap, this is the first free thing I've got from yo-yoing. Oh my god, this is neat. And so I kept making videos and started like doing the whole Dr. B thing. All the while, have been like pretty active in the forums. Like when One Drop had 2 yo-yos out, like talking about them and whatnot, and arguing with people online and things, and doing all those like stupid forum things.
Mm.
And so got to know some of the One Drop dudes, and then Paul Dang, over the One Drop forum, Paul Dang and I started talking, and he came out and stayed at my house when he went to the what was at the time called the Rocky Mountain Regionals, which would eventually become the South Central Regionals.
Mm.
And he stayed on my couch, and we had awesome times and became very good friends. Next thing I know, I'm getting an email from Sean and David right before I'm heading out to PNWR. And I was just going out to PNWR for the first time. It was one of the first times I had like traveled out of state for a contest or whatever. And they're like, hey, during the lunch time of the contest, why don't we go get some food? I'd like to take you out to lunch since you've made all these cool videos with all of our yo-yos. I was like, that's rad. Never at the time did I think that they were going to do what they did. And we got there, and we're sitting, we're talking, and they're talking about how they were looking for players on their team that weren't just there just for contests. They were looking for team members who were like mature and wanted to interact with the community on a more fundamental and human level, and not just stand up on stage and never interact with people. And I told them, I said, there's lots of adult yo-yoers out there that I'm sure you could offer pretty much any of them a place on your team, and they'd all say yes. And they said, well, what if we offer that to you? And I said, is that actually on the table? And they said, yes. And I said, oh, well, then I'd totally say yes, of course. And then I had to excuse myself to walk around the corner out of sight and jump around for a little bit. And it was just so super exciting. And then when I came back, Paul Dang and the rest of the team, everybody was all there, and it was all just like a fantastically cool moment. And it all just kind of came out of the fact that communication channels were open. I think a lot of people spend time, trying to answer that, like, how do you get sponsored question. They're like, who makes the first move? And it's like, this isn't dating. You know, you don't have to like open with a line or something, you know what I mean? Just go and make cool stuff. And if the stuff that you make is cool, then people will pay attention to you, and ultimately that's like kind of the goal, you know, is to do cool enough stuff where people pay attention to you.
Mm.
We all have these sort of like extrovert tendencies as yo-yoers. We want people to think that stuff that we do is cool. So if you put your, you know, you put all of your right effort into making stuff that you respect and people also respect, and that transfers to respect for you and what you do, then you're golden. And then next thing you know, you get invited to cool Thai restaurants in Seattle.
I think people maybe approach it from the wrong angle, which is like, how do I get sponsored? It's like, don't worry about it. Just have fun doing the thing.
Yeah, and the thing that kind of confuses me is kids ask that question in the same way they ask like how do I get, I don't know, how do I get, I don't know, like how do I get a referral for something, or how do I go buy a thing? It's not a thing that happens to everybody, you know. Despite the fact that that's almost what it feels like sometimes when you go on the internet, is that there's a billion small yo-yo companies and they're sponsoring all kinds of cool players doing all kinds of cool things. So I bet there's lots of kids out there who are kind of confused and think like, well, when does it happen to me? You know, and it's not even a matter of being good. It's not even a matter of being cool. It's a matter of like being the kind of person that, you know, that represents other people well. That's not like the reason to yo-yo, you know?
Right. You mentioned the competition a little bit, and I recently watched the miniature documentary that you were in.
Oh, cool.
And I was wondering, do you enjoy competition? Like, is it something you really like to go do, or do you prefer like the teaching aspect and stuff, or just the personal aspect of it?
So I've done it a few. I've done the whole contest thing a few different ways. I've tried super hard, and I've won contests, and mostly when I was younger. I think like the last major contest I won was that Rocky Mountain Regionals that then became SCR, but that was in like 2009 or 10 or something. And then I won Colorado States last year, and that was an absolute surprise. But here's the thing, though. I don't really like competition in the sense of let's all get together, do things separately, and then do math about it. I think it's cooler to get up and perform, you know, to like let people know how you do, and the kind of stuff that you're working with, and the kinds of ideas that you have. So I think like contests are super important because it's a tradition. It's a part of this community that if it goes away, something super important goes away, and super crucial to the survival of this hobby goes away. You know, like the face of yo-yoing changed when the first national yo-yo contest happened again. Was that like 92 or something like that? You can kind of point to that and you could be like, oh, so like freestyles are a thing now, and people put together yo-yo routines, and people can like think about yo-yoing. That's really, really rad. I love the social aspect of it. I love seeing, you know, all of my teammates, my friends on other teams, and like my Ditch Down folks. I don't know if you guys know about Ditch Down at all, but those people all make going to contests so worth it. Yeah, I love them. I love going to them. I might not always compete, and I sure as hell don't care if I win. That could be the absolute furthest thing from my concern. To be perfectly honest with you, if I ever got into finals at PNWR, I would probably not know what to do with myself, because I'd be like, damn it, I only really put together a 1 minute.
I'll just repeat it and see if anybody notices.
Yeah.
Cool. So kind of getting into, you know, your philosophy and your style of yo-yo. I mentioned before that, you know, you're hands down my favorite player, because I think it was with the launch of the prescription, there were a couple of videos. There was a series of videos. It was diagnosis and prognosis, and I think there was one more.
Yeah, prognosis, prescription, diagnosis.
Right.
And I filmed those in Denver with a friend of mine when I first had the first edition like production run on the prescription. And I just kind of, I don't know, I just wanted to just showcase some classic tricks of mine and some newer tricks of mine with music that I was really grooving on at the time. Like that Kamaya song is fresh, and that Motorama song is excellent. And in Prescription itself, I think, is the one with the Devious Enemy song. who has produced the majority of the music for my yo-yo videos since day one.
Nice. Yeah, those videos completely blew my mind. Like, I was at a point where I'd been watching a lot of videos. I think I'd been in it for maybe seriously into unresponsive for maybe 6 or 7 months at that point. It's kind of been doing it on and off, and I'd seen a lot of like the Gentry videos and the Zach Gormley videos, and these were like really intense and at the time for me incredibly hard to follow routines.
Right.
And I watched your videos, and I just was like, "This, you can do this with a yo-yo." Like it was, there's a flow to it, and a you mentioned the music, like a groove to it, and a movement. I noticed you follow the yo-yo with your whole body at some points, and I was just like, this style, I've never seen anything like this before.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I tend to boogie when I yo-yo. I think it was like an old West Side Connection song that's like, "Gangsters don't dance, we boogie." And I don't know. I've always just had like this really stupid looking face when I yo-yo, and kind of just like hang out like mouth agape or whatever. But yeah, I've never really been one for like super fast competition oriented play. It's just not fun to do. It's fun to watch, but it's not fun to do. In my opinion, or at least I don't find it fun. I'm sure that there's lots of people out there who do, especially like the kinds of people who really enjoy like thinking of the meta game and thinking of like how to win things, because that's super rewarding to some people. But I don't know. I prefer like kind of a sequence of movements that convey some kind of like relatively concise, packageable idea. So when I tend to write freestyles, I tend to do them in little segments and have to spend way too much time thinking about what trick goes after which trick.
Yeah, I think maybe the metagame, that's a really good way to put it. It's like it's too much of a focus these days. I think when you're thinking about string hits and all these, how's it going to be judged?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with just kind of separating that and saying I'm not a part of it. Like, I don't want to yuck anybody's yums and say like yo-yoing shouldn't be that. Sure as hell yo-yoing should be that. If people want to do that, that's awesome. Power to them. I love to watch that. But the freedom to be able to kind of just step aside and be like, well, we do things differently here, or this is more of like a personal style, I think is super powerful and super cool. I mean, that's the one thing. Man, for every little like 13-year-old kid who ever asks a question like, how do I get sponsored? I think those same kids need to just ask like, how do you get cool? That's all you're looking for is tricks that you can do, and they look cool and you look cool. And that's I don't know. I think like that's kind of the best part of yo-yoing is this like personal style that you can develop. But there's just so many people who just skip that step. Skip the developing your own style, and I just don't get it. It's not my thing.
At least over in Japan here, there's a big push or not push, but I guess the trend is kind of speed a lot of times. So there's a lot of really, really fast front style and a lot of really fast tech. And so when I saw your video, I was just kind of like, it was the complete opposite of that. So it's really, like you said, it's fine that both styles exist, but I think for me, I really enjoy the thought out, the taking your time more, the coolness factor rather than just how fast can I go.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's been 24 years in the making. I don't know, it's only cool sometimes. But I think that's the nature of like creative work in general.
I guess if we're okay with moving to Instagram questions, you covered everything I had.
For sure.
All right. We're going to start with It's Joey Animals, who asks, why is the one-drop prescription so damn good?
Well, it's because Sean Nelson is the one solely responsible for taking the silly ideas that I had in my brain and making them into really cool shapes on his computer, and then making them out of metal. when I told him what I wanted, the vision for this yo-yo, I was like, "Yo, Sean, I have been dreaming this for a long time, and here is exactly what I want." I was like, "I want the Cascade, and I want the Project 2, and I want the two of them to be one." And it seriously was so cool and so quick. Like over the course of 2 or 3 days, when I visited one spring break, we did the model and we knocked out a couple of prototypes, and man, those first ones were really bad. And and Sean kept tuning them and tuning them and tuning them, and it's crazy. This guy's like a jazz wizard of machining. He is the answer to my question, by the way. Someone had said, like, who's the master of the universe? Sean Nelson is the master of the universe. that man is a genius when it comes to making yo-yos work. And I don't know. I just like I wanted something that felt really good in the hand and was deliberate without being slow, and was flexible without being like overly rigid. You know, like that's why I think it's kind of interesting when people say that my yo-yo is not very stable, and I think, well, sure, but I kind of like it that way a little bit. I like tiny little adjustments, and I think that's part of playing with those sort of like mid-school yo-yos that I grew up with. It kind of reflects a lot of that play style. So I don't know, and plus it's I don't know, it's so comfortable to hold. It's just so curvy and nice.
Yeah, actually, the prescription was one of the first videos I made for my channel, and I said the same thing. Was like I felt like that it wasn't as stable as I wanted it to be, but
Yeah.
I felt like it was because I was sloppy, and
Yeah.
the more I've played with it, the more it punished me for that. And I liked that, actually. And I've been playing with it more recently again, just over the last few months, and taking it everywhere, because you said it's light and it's comfortable, and I'm finding that, oh yeah, now that I'm improving a lot, that's not as punishing as it was at the beginning.
Sure. I yeah, I agree with you. It definitely forces you, I think, to play a little bit more clean, but a little bit more flexibly. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just it's a good design for the way that I play. I've used it on stage a few times. I think it's fine for competition. The only thing it does not do very well is horizontal play. But I don't play any horizontal at all, so...
Next question here. You kind of mentioned it a little bit before, but maybe we'll get into more detail. Zodrin asks, what are your favorite hobbies besides throwing?
Okay. Let's see. I play a lot of Overwatch. I'm a Pharah main. Get at me. If there are any yo-yoers out there who like to play Overwatch on PC, there is a really fun yo-yo Overwatch group, Yoyoverwatch,
Nice.
of which I'm the admin. So hit me up wherever you feel like if you want to play some Overwatch. Let's see. So I play Overwatch. I genuinely do a lot of the kind of like making stuff that I teach in my classes. So I'm constantly working on like 3D printing and Arduino projects, and doing all of that. I just recently redid my entire backyard. My girlfriend and I just bought a house, and I poured about 10,000 pounds of concrete and custom geometric shapes in our backyard, laid sod, built a couple fences. No big deal. To do a lot of that. I don't know. I write a lot. I love fountain pens, mechanical keyboards, things that I tend to use to express myself with.
Tools of creativity, basically.
Yeah, I love tools, man. Tools are great. Tools are the absolute best. I bought a cement mixer off of Craigslist for this project, named it Mixie Elliott. I love like going in my garage and going like, "There's a cement mixer. What the hell is this for?"
That's awesome. They go on to ask, Star Wars or Star Trek?
Trek.
Yay.
Star Trek, big bad way. Even though I have a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy tattoo, which is nerd fiction #1, above and beyond all things, and a War Games tattoo as well.
Oh, nice.
I prefer to err more on the optimistic side of science fiction. Like, give me glossy, shiny sci-fi as opposed to like gritty, dirty sci-fi. I mean, Star Wars is fresh, don't get me wrong. Everybody loves a fairy tale in space, but I want to make sure that people in the future don't have to worry about like food rations.
And then their final question here was, if you ever made a prescription too, what would be different?
Oh, snap. Okay. Um, let's see. It'd be bimetal. Just kidding. Bimetal suck. Um, that's one of a number of controversial yo-yo design opinions that I have that people always give me crap for.
Ooh, throwing down the gauntlet there.
Yeah, bimetals do suck. They're boring. I think it's like a silly cheat code to try to get a yo-yo to spin differently. Just get a better engineer.
Mm.
If I were to make it, I don't know. I think maybe one of the things that I would try to do is I'd try to change up the side effects. I think it would be really cool to have a side effect that mimicked the hex nut capture of the Project and Project 2.
Mm.
I think that would be really neat. In the early designs of the project, though, the rim was a lot thicker, kind of like the Dang 2, because I wanted to try to get that like flat edge from the look of the project. So maybe achieve that with an undercut or something along those lines. I would really like to see, personally, like either a heavier version, or try out other metals, or try out other finishes. I would love to do that sort of thing.
Mm.
I wish metal on metal splashes were a thing, like copper splash on a nickel plated yo-yo. Like, why is that not a thing?
Mm.
Someone who's better at science, better at it than I am, get at me. Tell me how this is a thing.
Wow, that actually is, yeah. I wonder why that's. I wonder if it's like a cost thing, or if it flakes, or who knows. Huh.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right, well, he's put out the call, so please get at him.
Get at me.
I do have to just very quickly, it wasn't on my list here, but I want to ask a little bit more about the, you said other metals, and then the statement about no bimetal. So does this big trend of every company putting out bimetals just get under your skin?
It super does. It super does. Because I don't know. I think I am by no means, if you know me, and I am not a like meat and potatoes kind of guy. I am not your Joe Six-Pack. But to a certain degree, I think sometimes there is like a kind of like elegance in how simple something can be. And I've always found yo-yos to be like one of the things that has like such complexity in how simple it is. And I think that it's kind of like that scene in Jurassic Park, right? Where they say that they spent so much time thinking about if they could, they didn't spend enough time thinking about whether or not they should.
Mm.
And the dual material thing has been done for so long.
Mm.
Done for so long. Like, you could take an old Renegade, like an old Super Yo Renegade, pop those things open, and there'd be weight rings on the inside.
Mm.
Take a look at every yo-yo jam ever, and it was like 6 different kinds of plastic on one thing, which was rad and innovative. And as cool as that is, I think that there's a certain kind of like elegance in minimal materials.
Mm.
And say that I'm going to achieve the same thing, or I want to achieve the same thing, and it's not just like spin, it's not just like hand feel or whatever, it's like the whole experience of a yo-yo with just a single metal.
Mm.
A simple design. I don't know, and most bimetals just kind of all look the same, and you wang them once on the ground and they're done.
Mm. Yeah,
even though there are people out there who's going to say that's not true, and you absolutely know it is. Like, don't give me any of that nonsense. You absolutely know it is. I mean, I don't want to yuck anybody's yums. Maybe I do. I don't know. It's not for me. It's like that, and people are always talking about like specialty bearing. I'm going to sound like a curmudgeonly old man when it comes to yo-yoing with regards to this stuff, because I just absolutely hate curved bearings, or like little center tracks, or concave, whatever the hell it is. If it's not a flat 10-ball bearing, I don't really want to play with it.
Mm.
And people complain about them being loud, and it's like, well, yeah. I mean, you're probably not yo-yoing in front of a ton of people, to be honest.
Mm.
I know I'm usually not, and if I do, I have a bottle of lube that I bought once and will never have to buy until the day I die. Because it's like you use a quarter of a drop.
Mm. The I Die Sky, I believe. What's your ideal afternoon for a day off?
Ideal afternoon for a day off. Let's see, yo-yoing if I feel like it, which is most of the time. But sometimes, like, you can't force yourself into creative endeavors. I don't know, maybe some Overwatch time with my friends, or cooking for my wonderful girlfriend, or I don't know, exploring Denver and seeing cool new places to eat and drink. I'm kind of a homebody, but I do like to explore, but I am a person of routine. So an ideal afternoon would probably be a lot of things that I've already done before, like go to get a cup of coffee or reread a favorite book, things
Mm.
like that.
They ask, what is your favorite yo-yo trick?
Favorite yo-yo trick? Oh man, that's super hard. You know, I would probably say it's bird in hand. I would probably say that's my favorite yo-yo trick. 'Cause it's the one where you do shoot the moon and then you catch it in a stall between your finger and thumb in your throw hand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an old trick, like 1930s, 40s era trick. And the fact that it is like such a good like entry point into modern fixie play is just so cool. I absolutely love that trick.
Mm. And do you have any advice for beginners on the best path for learning? Is starting with a certain style or trying them all out?
Okay, so I feel like that has to be answered in one of two ways. And the way it's separated is like this. If you have people who yo-yo near you, you must yo-yo with them. And do that as frequently as possible. These are probably going to be people that you live like very different lifestyles than, or they come from very different backgrounds. And it's a great way of not only for you to like experience other people and how they do, but also a great way for you to consistently practice a performative kind of thing in front of other people, right? And if at all possible, try to locate someone who's been in the game for a while, like that John Gates guy that I was talking about before. He is fundamentally, I would say, almost single-handedly responsible for my development as a yo-yoer, and as I would like to think, a relatively well-adjusted man. I've known him since I was 16. He's been, asking me to come to yo-yo clubs and contests and having me teach people for a long time, and he's the wisest human, and he is just so cool. And still to this day, like even as a 34-year-old man, I say I have a mentor, and it's that guy. He's like my life coach. But if you can find someone like that in your life who can teach you and make sure that whatever it is that you do, you're on the right path. That's the best way to do it. If you can't, if you are yo-yoing in isolation, which as an only child and a guy that started yo-yoing before the internet existed, I feel you. But now you got all kinds of great resources on the internet. Some people like to comb over videos and study routines. Some people like to collect and get into yo-yoing from like a materialistic standpoint, which is fine. But if you're yo-yoing by yourself and you want to try to get better, I say pick an element of old school yo-yoing and get good. Probably one of the easiest ways to get into it, and it's super popular now, is fixed axle play. Everybody's heard about, and if you haven't played one, that Alley Cat is such a great yo-yo.
Oh, yeah.
And then One Drop, we've been teasing this Deep State, which is going to be game changing. And it's like, get into that. Like, get into getting smooth. Get into getting good. It's these people who want, who want to feel accomplished immediately. Who want to be, celebrated without having to put in the work. And I'm not saying like some 10,000 hours nonsense. To be perfectly honest, I think anybody could be like competition ready in 6 months with hard focus for starting from zero. It's just all about the way that you approach and that you think. Give you a great example. So Chris Rodriguez, everybody knows C-Rod on Caribou Lodge, and he's a good homie of mine, and I've known him since literally when he started yo-yoing. I remember back when he was a pro kendama player, and he would come and hang out at our Big Kids Yo-Yo Club meetings in Denver. He starts yo-yoing, and the thing that was interesting about him is he not only had like that social aspect of yo-yoing, so like getting information from other people, but he also had a really interesting way that he thought about yo-yoing when he was alone. So it's like practice. Like you could practice for 3 hours and just fart around, and you can just kind of yo-yo and just kind of like watch an episode of Star Trek or whatever. But that's not nearly as important as like 30 minutes of deliberate, thoughtful, mindful, like present and aware practice. And that's what the dude did. And I thought that, like, I have never seen someone literally ever progress the way that he did. His brain should be dissected for science when he dies, because I've never seen anybody learn something and become a master of it that quickly. It was almost offensive. What a guy, though. What a great guy. So for those kids, like I have a feeling that there's like this one kid, this archetypical kid, has existed in yo-yoing since day one. You know, it's like on Reddit, you have a starter pack, right? And there's like your 13-year-old boy starter pack. And he's wanting to know about sponsorship, wanting to know how to get good, wants to collect as many yo-yo trading cards and autographs as possible, which is rad because holy crap, signing things is the best. But there's no like real depth of thought as to why they want to get good, you know. And it's because it's craving attention. There's nothing wrong with that. Like that, we're social animals. Of course we want that attention. Of course I want people to look at my yo-yo tricks because I think they're dope. And of course I want to look at your yo-yo tricks because I think those are dope too, you know. But I think that so many kids kind of get locked into this mindset of, all right, how do I get to this state so then I am on you know, like equal ground with everybody? It's like, nah, dude, you'll never be on equal ground with people. Like that is a myth. That you don't walk into a room and you're on equal ground. You get to know people. It's like when I walked into a party at BAC and Paul Escalar said, "Dr. B, I thought I had arrived." You know what I mean? Like here I remember watching this dude as a yo-yo player when I was in high school, and he was probably like in high school or whatever, and he had like crazy spiky hair, and so like to feel kind of like known and recognized in that sense, like that in that moment I had realized it's like, oh, that's what I've been looking for. I don't want a trophy, I don't want a medal, I don't want a podium. I want people to be happy because they know me and because they're talking to me and because they make my life better and I make their life better. Like that's all that should ever be the focus with anything that you do in life, period. So why the hell wouldn't you do it with yo-yoing?
Next one here is Jules Bosman, who asks, what do your students think about their teacher being a pro yo-yoer?
Well, they're still kids, so sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's not. I don't know is the best way I can put it. Like I mean, I've had students before who were like secretly yo-yoing the whole year and didn't want to say anything to me because they're like, well, you're really good. And I was like, are you friggin' kidding? Like, for real? My dude. This cannot be the case, you know? So, yeah, I don't know. They thought it was cool. You know, there was nothing that could have made yo-yoing cool in 2016, though. But with dabbing, bottle flipping, and fidget spinners, I was dead.
Oh, man. Yeah, it seems like that's, well, actually in Japan we are just getting into the fidget spinner craze. It's starting to take hold.
Oh.
And they're starting to appear everywhere, and even like the big stores are getting them now. So it's always a little bit, just a few months behind, but there's been like the news reports of like, this is big in America. All the kids in all the schools are playing with these. So now, of course, they're spreading here.
Well, my condolences.
And we have our last question here from Kyodai1031. It says, Dr. B, winner of the Best Glasses Award of Greatness. A few questions here. Number one, what trends... Oh, yeah, actually, you already answered this one. What trends are you least excited about? I'm guessing that's bimetals.
Well, I mean, I like these questions that are like gentle ways to get someone to be super negative for a bit because it's more fun to listen to. So how about this? Let me flip this script.
Yes.
Here's the stuff I'm excited for.
Great.
So the stuff that I'm excited for, I think like this whole like metal semi-responsive thing is the best thing that has happened to yo-yoing in a very long time. I truly, truly do. And I think that and like super high quality collaborations like the Parlay, the collab between One Drop and the Static and Responses is one of the coolest yo-yos ever. If anybody knew me when I during the freehand craze, they would knew that I had 24 freehand ones. I had like a freehand MG and it was okay. I played this Parlay and I was like, that is exactly how I wanted a metal freehand to play. And it wasn't given to me then, and I'm so happy I have it now. So I don't know. I'm really stoked for that. I'm really stoked that there are a lot of people out there who are trying to be independent and do their own thing. I'm glad that it seems to be that most of these new efforts to like start new yo-yo companies or string companies are usually more well thought out than they used to be. You know? So I think that's pretty cool. I think those are definitely some trends that I really really like. I think the sort of like plastics and inexpensive materials trend and like the downward dive of prices I think is fantastic. That's
Mm.
exactly what I want to see. I want to see more yo-yos super cheap. I want more kids to have yo-yos, and I want more people to have as many inexpensive yo-yos as possible that are good.
Mm.
So I'm super stoked on seeing that. Yeah, I don't know. Yo-yo holsters finally don't suck, and wood yo-yos are still a thing and coming back, and that makes me super happy. That
Mm.
makes me so super happy to see wooden yo-yos coming back and being a thing again.
Way to bring the positivity.
Yeah, I already whine about other stuff, Basically, bimetals and curved bearings or
There you go.
non-flat bearings.
There you go. And number two, if you could see, I really like this question. If you could see one person who is no longer competing return to the stage, who would it be?
Oh man, that is a really really good question. Man, God, it's going to be one of a handful of people probably. I'd love to see Jason Lee come back. Um, I want to see more of his stuff. His elegance and flow is unlike anything. Guy Wright, I'd love to see more Guy Wright. You're probably sensing a trend of the kinds of yo-yos I want to see. But I don't know. I even think like I would love to see more people doing like semi-responsive yo-yoing style tricks in with their routines. I think that we've super explored a ton of cool binds, but one area that I think is super ripe for exploration is playing with like a dead yo-yo.
Mm.
But then of course competitions would have to change.
Mm.
Um, I don't know, Mark Montgomery, he's the man.
Mm.
Always want to see him yo-yo every single time. What a cool dude. The idea of getting out of competition and then coming back and competing more is I don't know. I think that's one of the scariest things to me about quitting competing, which
Mm.
I don't know if I'm gonna keep competing. I don't know, but like if I don't, I just know I'll never come back. There's definitely some players I'd love to see more of, but I'd like to see more of their material, not necessarily their routines.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like every time like Jensen or Charles puts anything out. Um, of course, I want to consume as much of that content as possible, but art takes time.
Their stuff is
So
it's
good, right?
it's like the Twin Peaks of yo-yoing. I
Yeah,
adore their Instagram. Like he was playing yo-yo in a tree, and there was a little boy up there, and I didn't know what was happening.
yeah. Oh, man. I assume you probably watched all their old videos too.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
Their parts in the summit video were some of my favorite.
Oh yeah, gosh, yeah. That kind of stuff I think is not like the hyper edited. Really, I mean, of course that stuff is great. Like the really nicely cut movie quality routine
Hmm.
videos are nice, but I like seeing like the kind of raw. It's almost like punk rocky kind of stuff. Like who cares about the angle or like I remember they did a video on Instagram where they did this really intricate trick and then he did the simplest bind possible, but he put it in super slow motion. It was just like, why that part? Like, it's
Yeah,
amazing. Like they don't seem to they really care and at the same time don't don't care what people really think. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just yeah, it's
yeah,
pretty incredible.
yeah.
So, actually, that's it for all of our Instagram questions and everything else. Thank you very much again for doing this. This was a blast to do.
Awesome, man. Well, I had a great time too. Thanks for having me on your show, and to everybody out there who likes what I do and likes what One Drop does, keep it up because that sort of positivity is what we need in this world.
Mm.
So keep doing good things and practice a ton. Get good, scrubs.
Anything you'd like to put out there or put in people's brains before we head out?
Oh no, just go buy a wooden yo-yo, damn it. Um, Actually, go buy a 3-in-1 no driver if you can find it, like a flying camel or mandala version, and see if you can start playing some fixie. It'll make you a better yo-yoer and a better person.
All right. What I like to do, I ask the guests at the end of our show if they will say the the Tokyo catchphrase, which is "Sai Yoyo Nara," because I love puns.
Oh, okay, sure, sure.
So will you sign us off?
Oh, absolutely. Sai Yoyo Nara.